Here is the latest Higher Summits forecast brought to you by our friends at the Mount Washington Observatory.
Weather above treeline in the White Mountains is often wildly different than at our trailheads. Before you hike, check the Higher Summits forecast at mountwashington.org. Weather observers working at the nonprofit Mount Washington Observatory write this elevation-based forecast every morning and afternoon. Search and rescue teams, avalanche experts, and backcountry guides all rely on the Higher Summits forecast to anticipate weather conditions above treeline. You should too. Go to mountwashington.org or text FORECAST to 603-356-2137.
And here is your forecast for Valentine's Weekend 2025. So we're going to start with Saturday. In the clear under increasingly cloudy skies, slight chance of afternoon snow showers, possible snow accumulations of a trace to 1 inch. High will be around 5 above by sunset. Winds will be northwest, shifting west at 50 to 70 miles per hour, with gusts up to 80 miles per hour early, then rapidly decreasing to 30 to 45 miles per hour by midday, and 15 to 30 miles per hour later. Wind chill will be 35 below to 45 below, rising to 10 below to 20 below. Saturday night, in the clear under cloudy skies, then trending into the clouds with snow. Snow accumulations of 1 to 3 inches. Low will be falling to around 0, then rising to around 10 above by sunrise. Winds west shifting south at 15 to 30 miles per hour, increasing to 25 to 40 miles per hour, with gusts up to 55 miles per hour. And the wind chill will be falling to 20 below to 30 below, rising to 10 below to 20 below.
Broadcasting from the Woodpeckers Studio in the great state of New Hampshire, welcome to the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast, where we discuss all things related to hiking and search and rescue in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Here are your hosts, Mike and Stump.
Recording on my end too. All right, so Cindy and Paul, welcome to the SLASRPodcast. So Cindy, you've been here before, so it should be pretty easy for you, right?
It's gotten easier with time. A little practice. It's always good to be back.
Right. So we've got the Alzheimer's crew here. So Paul, welcome to the SLASRPodcast. So for the listeners, me and Paul are friends. We hiked a bunch of times together, but this is your first time on a podcast, right?
That is correct. This is virgin territory.
But you're like a business guy. You've done like presentations and spoken in front of large crowds, right?
A little bit, sure.
Okay. All right. So anyway, the reason I wanted to start hitting recording now is I just want to get this on the show. So Stomp is not coming tonight. He just texted me.
Oh, wow.
I'm so offended, Stomp.
Well, he's apparently out rescuing another, renters. So snowmobile renters. So he texted me at 6 o'clock and he's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it because there's these, snowmobile renters who are, they need help. So anyway, so Cindy before we started recording, Cindy's like, I may need to step away. Cindy, you're the co-host.
I am? See, I didn't know that coming into this.
I know, I didn't tell you guys, but yeah, you're going to have to co-host.
Your second chair.
That's
he
right.
blindsided us, Paul. Oh my gosh,
because
Mike.
Hopefully that means
Cindy
he's
has the
feeling
most
better.
experience, so I figure, Cindy, you will be the co-host, and then Paul, when we need something from you, we will ask.
Oh, that's terrifying. I don't know if you want to do that, Mike. I'll try.
Well, anyway, are you referencing the script? Do you have that in front of you?
I do have it in front of me. I will do my best.
You're going to have to follow along, and you're going to have to work with me to do piffy little commentary.
Okay.
Okay, so you've listened to the show enough. So anyway, for the listeners, again, Cindy and Paul, they're here with Alzheimer's. We're going to talk about 48 Peaks, the longest day, how you can join up and help us raise money for this. But before we do that, we've got a bunch of different little topics that we got to cover here. So the first thing is Cindy's cracking her cider, which is nice.
Yes.
Valentine's Day is coming up, and I want to ask both of you, because you're actually better positioned than I am to address this one. So Stomp pulled an article about a difficulty that couples are facing. So me and Stomp, we've been married forever. You guys are, I think, I don't know if you're single, dating, whatever the situation is, but Stomp pulled this Valentine's Day article, and we mostly did Valentine's Day stuff last week, but I wanted to continue this. So there's an article from the Wall Street Journal that talks about relationship challenges around location sharing apps. Do you guys know about these location sharing apps? Like I'm on Life 360 with my kids.
Yeah, same.
And my wife. You're the same. So Paul, you have Life 360 with your kids?
Correct.
So if you're in a relationship, so you say you got a new relationship, at what point are you signing up for Life 360 to share with your new partner? Never.
I don't know if
I don't know. I've never thought about it in that capacity. It's been something that it's been something I just thought about, like parent to child. Wanting to make sure that your kids are safe and know what they're up to, where they're at. But beyond that, I've never thought about it from.
So this article talks about basically how these people are getting into these dating relationships, and then when it comes time to sign up for location sharing, like some of the partners are like, I don't want you tracking me, and then that's a huge red flag, and they're like, you must be up to nonsense, and then they break up over it. So I don't know, Cindy, do you have a take on this?
I honestly don't use any of those tracking apps. I don't think I've heard friends talk about it where they screen share, or not screen share, but location share, but then they forget to stop the sharing. So there's people I know who keep following certain people, and it's been a while. I don't know how I don't know. No, thank you. I'm good. If it's a specific situation, I've sent a Google tracking kind of thing to my mother, for example.
But it's just something you've never spoken about. It's not that you're up to shenanigans. It's just you haven't spoken about it.
No.
So
I mean, if it needed to, maybe I would, but
yeah. I got nothing to hide. So me and my wife, we've been on it forever with our kids, but I like it because my kids are all over the country. And at one point, I had one in Hawaii, I got another one in London. So it's nice to look to see, where are they? So,
that makes sense.
I suppose as a kid, I suppose they're in college now. They don't want me looking at Saturday night at 2 a.m. to see where they're partying or whatever. So
that's how my little would feel. I'm part of a Big Sister Association as well, and my little's over in Ireland, and I'm like, how would she feel about her mom tracking all these things she's doing over there now,
All right, so then just to recap then, so Mike is on Life 360. I got no problem with it. I'm not doing anything. I'm also old. Paul is on Life 360 with his kids, but not his significant other. And then Cindy is just sort of hasn't really thought about it, but probably wouldn't ever share her location.
No, not unless it was a specific situation.
Look at you, secret squirrel.
Flying under the radar.
she may be up to shenanigans, Paul. I don't know.
I'll never tell.
All right. You'll never tell. All right, so welcome to episode 185 of the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast. This week, our friends from 48 Peaks, the Alzheimer's Association, join us as we join the fight against Alzheimer's by encouraging everyone to participate in the 2025 The Longest Day 48 Peaks hiking and fundraising event. So Cindy's here. She's a multi-time guest. She's now our co-host. So when I do the part where I say I'm Mike, you're going to say I'm Cindy, right? So get ready for that.
Okay.
So a lot of pressure. Get your timing down.
I know.
So Cindy's a multi-time guest on SLASR, and Paul's a personal hiking buddy of mine, and he's going to join us to talk about this. So we'll get some updates from Cindy on her adventures. Paul's going to spill the beans on what it's like to hike with me over the last year or so. Plus, he'll share his personal story of how Alzheimer's has impacted his family and his journey to fundraise through 48 Peaks. So all this plus... We've got some big snow coming in New Hampshire. We've got some reminders about staying prepared for adverse weather conditions. There's a rescue on Franconia Ridge. We've got more place name changes in the news, and there's a story of a man who was adopted by a herd of goats. So I'm Mike.
And I'm Cindy.
Let's get started.
Oh, I forgot that part. Sorry, Mike.
That's fine. You did amazing.
Thank
you did amazing.
you.
All right, so let's move into, we're going to do a drop for Wild Raven Endurance Coaching. So let's do that. You did. You did it.
I got that one.
Excellent. You did.
Hi, I'm Christina from Wild Raven Endurance Coaching. I work with athletes of all levels, from hikers to triathletes, helping you reach your goals with personalized guidance. With years of experience hiking, mountain biking, and trail running across New England, I also have a deep knowledge of the New Hampshire 4,000 footers and the surrounding trails. Whether you're a beginner hiker or a seasoned athlete, I'll guide you towards your goals, reducing injury risk and improving your performance through smart, tailored coaching. Are you looking to transition from hiking to mountain running? I'm here to make that journey easier too. My approach combines strength training, mindfulness, and life balance on and off the trail. Let me help you find more joy in your sport while getting stronger and healthier along the way. Visit www.coaching.christinafolsick.com and start your adventure today.
CS Instant Coffee. Athlete Ready. CS Instant Coffee. www.csinstant.coffee.
All right, so we're back. Thank you, Christina, for keeping us healthy and fit. So I got a couple of articles here that I wanted you guys to go over here. So Cindy, I want to get your take first. Mm-hmm. So this weekend, we've got Snow Safe Summit, which is at the Barn Door Hostel in Rumney. Are you going to this thing?
I can't make it, but I know a lot of people are going, and I know Lynn's running it with a bunch of people.
Lynn is running it. Our friend Lynn, who is the bundle of energy that is involved in all things White Mountains, is going to be there. So this event is at the Barn Door Hostel. It runs from February 15th and 16th. So it's this weekend, and there'll be a campfire conversation with Ty Gagney. Friday, it looks like there's going to be you can check in, you can do camping, and then there'll be a family-style meal and then casual gathering around a fireside. On Saturday, there's going to be skills clinics, vendors, and speakers. There'll also be food trucks and some fireside speakers as well. And then there's going to be 4 skill clinics. I'm going to be there doing one of the skill clinics. So if you want to know how to pack your gear for winter hiking, how to strap your snowshoes onto your backpack. Paul knows I'm a disaster on trail. I'm fiddling with everything. So, but I'm going to be there to do my best to try to teach people what's going on. So this is the first time this has been done, right, Cindy? I don't think she's ever done this before.
Yeah, no, this is new. It's a new collaboration. I know she's been working wicked hard on it, and I actually saw them post that I think Mount Washington Observatory is going to be involved too with something. It sounds incredible, looking at the lineup. So definitely go if you can.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be good to see everybody. I don't know, Paul, are you going to be up there? You if you bail out on hiking, you might want to come by.
Yeah, very true. I did reach out to Lynn about it because I was curious if you could buy individual day passes. Because there's a Saturday agenda and a Sunday agenda she said yeah. So, and I think there are still some passes available, so it's definitely worth checking out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll include this in the show notes if people want to check it out, and then come by and see me. I'll have stickers, and then I think we're going to raffle off some Vaucluse gear, so that will be that'll be good.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited. And then as we go along with the Snow Safe Summit, it looks like we're going to get a decent amount of snow. I don't know if the forecast has changed since I've taken a look at this, but there's a big snowstorm making its way through New Hampshire for the weekend, and they're predicting between 14 to 18 inches of snow. It looks like it's going to hit late Saturday into Sunday, so I think that people just need to be aware that this weather's coming in and we're going to get whacked. Maybe it'll be a little bit lower snow totals, but up to 18 inches. And then behind that storm is going to be brutally cold conditions on Monday. So just be prepared out there. But I'm excited, and I think it's going to be good for snowmobiling. It's going to be good for hiking. I feel like we haven't had a big giant snowstorm like this in a while, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I didn't realize it increased to that many inches of snow. I'm heading up to Conway area, and I think we're supposed to get slammed too. So I gotta watch the weather.
When you go to Conway, you staying at a house or you stay at like a hotel or something?
We're staying up at Conway Hostel, just right in downtown Conway. So that's usually, this will be the second time I've stayed there. I haven't been over to Conway side as much. It's nice.
Yeah, that's my side of the mountain. Mm-hmm. Are you going hiking this weekend?
I'm going to try to hike on Saturday before the storm. I was texting Paul about this. I was thinking Hedgehog before the snow hits, and then just hunker down on Sunday. Maybe get out if the roads clear up. We'll see.
Yeah. Paul, didn't you just do Hedgehog recently?
I did Hedgehog probably about a month ago. I think it was
about a month ago.
Yeah, about a month ago. It was, I don't know, early January, late December. They're all starting to blend together a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a great little mountain. You should have fun too.
You might see some moose there too.
Really?
That's a good one. That's the only place I've ever seen moose.
Really? I saw my first moose actually back in the fall down in Tamworth area off of 16. Came out of someone's front yard and just ran across the road, and I was like, oh my gosh. I couldn't believe I had finally seen one. They're so big.
Yeah, they are. Very exciting. So anyway, well, Hedgehog is good. The one thing I will say about Hedgehog is that there's no cell phone connection there.
Yes.
And, you're not going to get any, so you have to be prepared. So I put together a little segment here about reminders about preparedness, particularly in scenarios where you might be out hiking and then you come back and you find like you're either plowed in because there's so much snow, or your car battery dies or something like that. Do you guys feel like, Paul, do you feel like you're pretty well prepared with like all the gear in your car in case an emergency happens at the trailhead?
I would love to say yes, but definitely not.
Okay, Stomp, put the shame drop in here. So, what about you, Cindy? You prepared?
I would say halfway. I do have like a box in my trunk with an emergency blanket and first aid and all that. I have a shovel, my scraper, all that. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I'll say partly there,
Yeah, you got an oh shit box. That's good.
I do.
All right, so I put together a list, and then I'll also put in the show notes like the National Weather Service gives like a recommendation on certain gear that you should have for your car. So Paul, listen up, and you're going to go to the Amazon or the Walmart or whatever and get this stuff. So the first thing you want is the shovel. And I can tell you from personal experience, like either you want the shovel so that you can shovel yourself into a trailhead or out of a trailhead, because sometimes you'll get plowed in. So having a shovel for sure. And a lot of times it's also like just to have it to help other people out. I also recommend like a snow rake so that you can more easily and quickly wipe snow off. Like I've seen a lot of people that have those little tiny snow brushes, which I guess is great in the driveway when you get a couple of inches of snow, but I recommend that people that are going to be up in New Hampshire get those big, long, telescoping snow rakes so you can clear stuff off your car more quickly.
Yeah, those are great. I have one of those.
Yeah, exactly. And then also the other thing is a battery charger and also jumper cables. So you have both scenarios. Ideally, you want like a rechargeable battery pack so that you can quickly jumpstart your car if you need to, and then as a backup, having jumper cables just in case, sometimes those battery chargers, they drain down or whatever. So I recommend having those. The other thing that they recommend is windshield wiper fluid or antifreeze. And primarily this is just in case you run out of windshield wiper fluid, but also for you to pour onto the little sections where your windshield wiper fluid like comes out. That tends to get frozen over. So if you have windshield wiper fluid, you can free up so you can actually clear your windshields when you're driving and salt comes.
It's a good list.
Yeah. The other things here, I like to have heavy duty floor mats. So number one, you're not douching up your car when you're getting in and putting snow in there. And then the other thing is these heavy duty floor mats can sometimes double as traction devices in case you have to shove them under your tires. I've had to do that before to get out.
Oh, I'll remember that. I have those as well.
Yeah. So, and then the rubber floor mats go flying behind the car after you spin a little bit, but sometimes comical. It works. Right. Yeah. So they also say a bag of sand or kitty litter is good for traction if you need to do that. A flashlight. So obviously we're going to have our headlamps with us, but a larger flashlight is helpful in case you need to like look under the car for some reason. And then the last couple of things they have here is a tow rope, just in case if you need to get towed out. And then also a 0-degree sleeping bag or some sort of warm blanket so you can survive in case you're stuck in your car. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I feel like our friend Steve from the Cape has all of this stuff in his car.
Guarantee that.
So. Is this the Steve Eats?
Steve Eats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he'll drive up on like a Thursday, and then he camps out for the weekend and goes hiking. So
cool.
And he stays in his car most of the time at campground. So he's pretty hardy.
Mm-hmm. I got to get the kitty litter in the sand. I don't have that.
Yeah. Also, the good thing about having the kitty litter is just in case you happen to find a kitty, you can take care of them in your car when you take them home, right?
You're just encouraging the cat distribution. What do they call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to come find me.
Steal kitties. Exactly. All right. So then, so anyway, are we ready? That's all I got for the car stuff. Are you prepared now?
I've
got my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Very good. All right, so this next one, Stomp had something about like snowmobiling, but we'll have to wait till next week because I don't even know what he's talking about here.
I don't either.
So, I don't know either what that is. So the next thing I want to talk about is I want to pull this forward. So there was 3 hikers in distress on Franconia Ridge. So have you both hiked Franconia Ridge, right?
Yeah, multiple times, yeah.
Cindy, have you hiked it in the winter?
No, I hiked it in October when it was all socked in and damp, though, so I couldn't see. Okay. It was not quite winter, but it wasn't fun. It was pretty miserable. It wasn't fun. Yeah.
Have you been up there, Paul, in the winter?
Not in the winter, but I've probably done it 6-8 times in spring, summer, fall.
Got it. So you both know the lay of the land here. So this one happened. So again, this is another one. I think the previous rescue that happened on Mount Washington was a Sunday night as well. So this is another case of like a late afternoon, early evening call on an exposed ridge. So this was on Sunday at 5:30. Conservation officers got a call. They were made aware of an SOS alert from the area of Mount Lincoln. So these folks were going up Falling Waters. They were on Mount Lincoln. So they had passed a little haystack. They're on Lincoln, but there's still, people think like, oh yeah, Lincoln and Lafayette are right next to each other. But like when you're standing on Lincoln, like that's a long way to go. You know, you're talking, I don't know, a mile or so at least to get over there. Maybe a little bit less, but it's a climb down and then a climb up. You know, I think you got to go up probably about 500 feet to get to Lafayette. So they're right in the middle of the ridge at 5:30. It's getting dark, and it sounds like the conditions are not great. So it was 3 males. They had intended a winter hike of Falling Waters bridle path loop. So they were basically doing the traditional route up Falling Waters, down Old Bridle. So the group was experiencing whiteout conditions and suffering from cold-related injuries, stating through text messages that they needed help. They were able to, the conservation officers were able to track the devices, and it showed that they were slowly moving towards the summit of Mount Lafayette. So a team of rescuers comprising of conservation officers and volunteers with the Pemi Valley Search and Rescue Team responded to the trailhead. So 5:30 call comes in. By 7:30, they're at the trailhead of Old Bridle as the hikers had started to slowly descend Mount Lafayette. So they will make it. Luckily, they kept moving. You do not want to sit still up there because you'd be screwed.
I've wanted to get off that mountain in heartbeat in October, let alone in the dead of January, February.
Yeah, so I mean you're in a tough spot if you're calling for rescue at 5:30. So the thing on the timing on this is that they actually started their hike at 9 in the morning.
Oh,
so
that's a long day.
That's a long day. So they were going slow. So they start at 9 in the morning. I have no idea what time they got to Little Haystack, but they call at 5:30 and they're on Lincoln. I mean, they're basically halfway through the hike in 8.5 hours. So there's a pacing thing going on there that I'm not clear about. They don't really talk about it here. But by 7:30, the first rescue is they head up Old Bridle Path. The hikers are coming down Mount Lafayette towards Greenleaf Hut. They didn't get any more messages from the group because they had explained it was difficult to text message in the cold. As you get down Lafayette, when you're coming down, that's the top of the Greenleaf Trail. That's a dicey section because there's a couple of right angles that you have to hit, and then you're also directly facing the wind typically from there. So by 9:10, the first rescuers came into contact with the group just below Greenleaf Hut. So these guys did hike out. And I guess by the time they met with the rescue team, they were given additional light sources because their headlamps had gone dead, and they were basically able to head out, and they made it out to the trailhead around 10:20. So it was two 24-year-old hikers from Cambridge and Boston, and then a 25-year-old hiker from Boston. So again, they departed at 9 a.m. and they ascended Falling Waters. They said that the progress across the ridge was slowed by deep snow and whiteout conditions, making the trail difficult. Once they got to Lincoln, they felt like turning back wasn't the best decision, so they continued on. I mean, at that point, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Toss a coin.
Yeah.
Pick your shitty options because you have no good options. They have activated the SOS on their device, so it doesn't say what the device is. It's probably a cell phone. Fishing Game said the group was fairly well prepared for winter conditions, but lacked experience above tree line, and they were apparently training for Mount Washington, but they put that on hold. They did have hike safeguards, and the three were appreciative of the rescues, and it happened during Super Bowl Sunday, so they said they felt bad that they took the rescue team away from the game, but I'm sure that the people that were involved in the rescue were happy to help out. So, but lucky, another close call.
Yeah.
So you don't see these too often in the winter. Like typically what I've seen is like really the winter rescues die out, but this is in 2 weeks that have been like very close calls.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, shout out to SAR for going to get him. Like that's no joke. But it's when I was reading the article, my first thought was this is the exact age group Hiking Buddies is trying to reach with their educational programs, with red line guiding, the classes and such. I mean, I'm really glad they were mostly prepared, like you said, and had some type of beacon to be able to call for help. Otherwise, that could have ended badly.
Right. Yeah. And I've covered this before when I've done presentations on search and rescue data, and there is a trend where, and there's probably over the last 5 or 6 years now, I've got like probably about 8 or 10 examples of young people in this age group, typically in groups anywhere from like 3 to 8 people, and going out for a grand adventure a lot of times in the winter. And I think it's either grad students or recent college grads that have moved to the city, and they sort of think like, all right, I'm going to come up for a grand adventure, don't have a ton of experience, but they're physically fit and ready to go, and they get in trouble. So I think this is probably another one of those scenarios here, where is that, they're reasonably fit, have some experience, but nowhere near enough to be up doing what they're doing. So, but kudos to them for getting out for sure.
Yeah, I'm impressed they made it to you said the hut, right? They made it down Greenleaf where the rescuers
because that's typically coming off Lafayette and going into the hut. That's where it gets difficult, and it's not easy either, especially in whiteout conditions or low visibility, because there's 2 or 3 sections where you have to find where the trail goes into the tree lines, and then it comes out again and then goes back in. And if you can't see where the hut is, it can be easy for you to go off trail. So hopefully they learn their lesson and they'll take a little less aggressive routes next time.
Yeah, and also kudos to them for having the hike safeguard. That I've been seeing more of those in the rescues recently, so that's good. Hopefully it continues. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love the pacing on this one. I feel like, given the timing that this thing all played out, like there was probably some checks at Little Haystack and coming up Falling Waters where they might have done a reality check to say, like, look, we've got another 6 miles, 5 miles to go, and we're not making very good time. But I don't know the details. It could be that they were super fast and it took them 4 hours to get across the ridge, breaking snow. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they had snowshoes. Who knows what the story is, but interesting rescue.
Yes, interesting. Had to get that in there.
Yes. Excellent. Anything else to add to this one, Paul?
I was curious if it mentions when they lost their lamps. You had mentioned that contact was made at 9:30, but how much before that did they lose?
Yeah, I don't know.
Their headlamps go dead because, to Cindy's point, it's somewhat impressive that they made it all the way to Greenleaf Hut.
It is.
So I'd be curious when they lost light.
Yeah, it doesn't say the details here, but luckily that it sounds like they did have some kind of light, because if they didn't have anything, they'd be in trouble. But it's always like, have 2 headlamps, have that backup, because you never know.
Yeah.
So
we said that at our recent public lands event. It was like 2 headlamps.
That's right.
Not 1.
Yeah.
Carry 2.
Were your ears tingling a little bit, like burning?
They might have been. Yeah. I don't know.
We didn't want any shame drops. We didn't want a shame drop.
I might have thought it was another earthquake. So.
Yeah.
So. All right. I got a couple of national stories here. So first of all, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning the Super Bowl. I was rooting for them, not because I like them, because I think Philly fans are the worst, but I just didn't want any talk of Mahomes being similar to like Tom Brady. So I want Mahomes below here and Tom Brady up here. So I'm happy for that. So, but Philly fans being awful, so they booed Taylor Swift. We cannot have that. No. So that's a shame drop.
Shame. Add that stomp.
Add that stomp, right? And then Lamar Kendrick, his halftime show was very controversial, because I think I'm apparently, my kids deem me a boomer because I was kind of like, I don't really know any of this music. I guess it's okay, but I didn't love it. It's not my thing. But apparently I was told that I'm supposed to love it and that he's like this transcendent artist that we're supposed to like. So I don't know if I didn't get it, I apologize, but I'm happy that other people are happy for him.
They are going to shame you even harder because it's actually Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar, whatever. Lamar Kendrick, whatever it is. So you guys did you let me keep that in the...
I didn't realize it till you said
relation.
You guys didn't tip me off on the script ahead of time so I don't look like an idiot?
I didn't realize I was going to co-host, so I'm sorry. I wasn't editing.
Okay. Anyway, so it's Kendrick Lamar, Lamar Kendrick, whatever.
It's Kendrick Lamar, and it's no relation. Okay.
All right. I earned my boomer card tonight, people. So. All right. So moving on to, we got a couple of other things here. So Stomp pulled these articles. He loves earthquakes and tsunamis. So when we had the earthquake in York, we would text him back and forth, and he immediately was like, there's a tsunami coming. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, but this one here, there was a 8.0 earthquake in the Caribbean with a tsunami warning that happened on February 8th. And it turns out that there was no waves. So I guess it was just a false warning, but I feel like there's more and more earthquakes and they're getting closer to us, so I don't like that.
8 sounds terrifying.
Yeah, an 8.0 on the Richter scale, that's big, but I guess it was underwater. So.
Oh, okay.
Did you guys feel the earthquake the other couple of weeks ago?
No.
I did.
You did, Paul?
I did, yeah.
Did you know immediately, or did you think it was a truck?
No, I think we had talked about it in isolation. I was just came off a work Zoom, and the house behind me is doing construction. So I thought it was them throwing stuff into the dumpster and just kind of regular noise that I've been dealing with for a couple months now. But I took to Facebook, and sure enough, the Wakefield community Facebook group was a buzz.
They were a buzz. They were a buzz. So, yeah. So anyway, we all survived it, which is good.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
48 Peaks Alzheimers. Use your passion for hiking to help end Alzheimer's. Join 400-plus hikers as they climb New Hampshire's 4,000-footers, or create their own challenge to support the mission of the Alzheimer's Association. The annual hiker celebration will take place Saturday, June 21st at Tuckerman Brewery, with raffles, food, and an amazing community. Hike that weekend or any day you want this summer. No fundraising minimums required, but those who raise $100 will receive the 2025 Performance Grade Purple T-shirt. Let's turn the White Mountains purple to end Alzheimer's. Visit alz.org/48peaks. That's alz.org/48 peaks to learn more.
All right, so this next one, this is a heartwarming story. So Stomp pulled this one. A 35-year-old from London was so serious that I guess this guy was exhausted by the stresses and strains of modern life. So Thomas Thwaites decided to forgo home comforts and test if the grass was really greener elsewhere by living as a goat in Switzerland. So 35-year-old from London had this idea to spend an entire year creating prosthetic goat legs to gallivant around the Alps on all fours, as well as an artificial stomach that would enable him to eat grass. So this guy's a full commit. So there's a picture of him. So he has like a, do you know, I'm trying to think what movie it is. I think it's like, what's the movie with his monkeys, but they have long arms and roller skates? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I can't remember.
Was that Michael Jackson's version of The Wiz?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
okay.
It's The Wiz. I think he has like the witch's monkeys. They have like long arms and roller skates or whatever. So this guy has like these long prosthetics on his arms to extend down so he can walk on all fours. And he has a helmet on, and he's like walking around with all these goats. So he basically experimented with these, and he wanted to get outside of himself and experience the world from a different perspective, even if it meant spending his days chewing up grass and avoiding some goats that were less accepting of his new friend. So some of the goats didn't accept him. That's so sad.
Oh.
He's committed.
He tried so hard, and they just rejected him.
Yeah, he had no job, and he had a lot of personal problems, so he found that like this was an idea that would relieve stress for him. He thought about trying to become a dog, but he didn't want to eat meat, so he preferred to eat grass. And this is wild. He's got like these like hoofs on his hands, and then he's got this like prosthetic on his legs that helps him like stay bent over, I guess. So this can't be. I refuse to believe this is a real story. This has got to be a plant. So
have you seen those goats? Have you seen those fainting goats?
Yes. I've seen those.
Like if you ran up and spooked them,
Maybe. Well, I guess the deal is what he did is he applied for a university grant to study goat psychology. So he tracked down a goat herd in the village of Wolfschechen in Switzerland, which beautiful, which was prepared to take him in for a few days while the animals grazed on their summer pasture. He then, I guess, tried the prosthetic limbs to create his goat leg. So this was a test. And then he designed a goat's stomach, which was strapped to his waist. So I could strap this bag to my torso and spit chewed up grass into one opening and suck the cultured microbes and volatile fatty acids out another opening like a milkshake, so I could digest them in my true stomach and live off grass in the Alps like a goat. This is disgusting. There are inevitably obstacles to life as a goat, which at times became a little uphill struggle. He said he suffered a lot because he couldn't keep up because they would climb too much. And the goats surprisingly didn't seem to like him very much. And he thought that they were going to attack him because they have dangerous horns. But I guess he realized that they were just letting him know that there's a hierarchy and he needs to know his place. So,
I mean, I'm wondering if they knew he wasn't a goat. Like, wouldn't he smell like a man? Like a human?
I don't know, but I guarantee you that this guy is not letting anybody get his Life 360 data when he starts dating people.
No.
Because they're going to be like, what are you doing out in the middle of a field in Switzerland? So,
have fun explaining that one, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Guys, if you're looking for a way to not get a girlfriend, I think doing what this guy does is the way to go.
I agree. This is not it.
So. Anyway, well, here's where it gets a little weird, too. He's like, the best moment was when one of the goats suddenly decided she was going to be my friend. She would muzzle me with her nose and like to have me... All right,
no.
We're moving on.
I was going to say, it gets weirder. It already was.
All right, we're done.
Okay.
Cut it.
Mike's cut off.
Cut it. Yeah. This is getting creepy.
Oh, my God.
So anyway... all right. So then the next thing we have here, there's a video of some hikers in Honolulu. They got arrested after they were throwing a metal barricade down the side. We talked about this before. There's these like stairway to heaven in Oahu. My daughter lived in Oahu. She was like, there's a million places to hike. I don't know why anybody would want to climb up this stupid metal staircase in Hawaii, but apparently they do. So the cops got them, and there was seven guys that got arrested, young men. They threw the blockade over the edge of this section and then decided to just go running right up these stairs, and they ended up getting arrested. So good for the police. 20 years in jail.
Is this the place that's like really popular on Instagram? I feel like there are people trying to go for the gram. Yeah. They
are. It's like those rusty stairway that's like, it's very high.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know, I've seen pictures of like real trails. I mean, it's very muddy and gross and some of them slick, but beautiful when you get up to the summit. So I'd rather go someplace legal instead of stressing out about like, I'm going to sneak into some place where I'm going to get arrested.
I agree. Like Caroline said, there's other places to go. This is Caroline, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Who went.
Yeah, exactly.
There's plenty of other places.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, all right. I'm going to skip one of these, and then we're going to do a little bit of name changes here. So we talk a lot on the podcast about like the origin of place names, and we talk a lot about like the logistics around the agencies that decide place names. So we had talked previously, there was like a reconciliation of place names committee that had been working for the last 4 or 5 years, and it changed a few names. There is an update. We talked last week. So the new administration came in and did an executive order that was basically ordering the geographic names group that handles place names. They ordered them to change the name of Denali, which is the highest mountain in North America, back to Mount McKinley. So it was named Mount McKinley. McKinley's a former president. He had never been to Alaska, I don't think, so he really had no connection. It was just named after him as an honor. But there's a long history around this mountain being named Denali, and even the Alaska legislature, which I think is mostly aligned politically with the current administration, they passed a resolution asking for the name Denali to be retained. So we'll see if that helps. But certainly I think all the local folks want to keep it as Denali, and then the local the state government is also pushing for it as well. Me and Stomp have talked about this before too, and we're sort of like, we feel like Denali's a cooler name than Mount McKinley. Nobody remembers that guy.
I don't even know what he did. Like,
I don't even know. He got killed. He got assassinated. So,
but
I don't even remember the details of it. So, Anyway, but there's another more interesting name change that's going on. So the Federal Aviation Authority and Google have renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America based on an executive order that was rolled out like a couple of weeks ago. So this got me thinking, and I don't want to get into politics because we don't talk politics here, but I did think that this would be an interesting topic to talk a little bit about the origin of the word Mexico, and then talk a little bit about the historical context about how the Gulf of Mexico was named, and then talk about the agencies that are actually authorized to make these name changes. So that's sort of what I think about with name change. It's always you think about what's the history on the word itself, what's the history on how that place came to be named what it was, and then what are the authorities that are in control of the name. So those are the three things you want to think about when you think about this. This is very geeky. Paul's looking at me like, what a nerd, but I like this stuff, so I'm sorry.
This tracks with you doing the stats for the rescues and such, so it makes sense to me.
I was on a I guess quick tangent. I was on a work call the other day when this came across, and we have an office in Galway. And so I had the folks from Galway Google it and Google Map it, and so it does show up as both.
Yes,
which is kind of interesting.
It says it says Gulf of America and then parentheses Gulf of Mexico. So.
Correct.
Anyway, but I had never known the history of the word Mexico. I had no idea. I was like, is this a Spanish word? So the word Mexico originates from the Nahuatl language, which is spoken by Aztecs. It's derived from Mexico with an H, which was the name of the capital of the Aztec Empire, which was located where Mexico City stands today. So Mexico is thought to be composed of three parts. Typically, when you get to these you have these like native words, they have like segments of them that are like the town Saugus, Mass is a good example. I think like SAU, saw is like crooked, and then us is like a river, or vice versa. So the words have the pieces of words have meanings. So Mexico is thought to be composed of three parts. Mezti, which is for the moon, Zictal, which is navel or center, and then Co is place. So together this roughly translates to place at the center of the moon, or in the navel of the moon, meaning that it's like the center of an important place here. So it was seen as the center of the universe in Aztec cosmology. And then there also is another interpretation that suggests that Mexico was named after the Mexica people, who were the ruling ethnic group of the Aztec Empire. So the Aztec Empire actually had different ethnicities, and the Mexico people were one of the ethnic groups within there. So anyway, in the Mexico, they were part of the Nahua people that migrated to the Valley of Mexico, establishing their capital around 1325. When the Spanish conquest arrived in 1521, the capital was rebuilt as Mexico City. So probably what happened is the Spanish conquistadors came in, they took that word Mexico and used it as a place name for the city, and then it became the country. So I guess officially, when it gained independence from Spain in 1821, it officially became the United Mexican States, and then retained the name Mexico. So that's the story behind that. As far as the Gulf of Mexico goes, the original reference for the Gulf of Mexico goes back to early maps in the 1500s, but the usage became commonplace in the 1700s and has been in place for a long time. So basically, like, if anyone's trying to argue that like there's no historical context for the Gulf of Mexico, they're having a tough argument, because it's been around for a long time. It was named a couple of other things previously, but for the most part, it's always been named the Gulf of Mexico since maps were a thing. And then officially, if you want to change it, I guess like you can do it with an executive order, but the official process for changing it would be that you would need to work through the International Hydrographic Organization to appeal to them for the name change, because they're responsible for standardizing nautical charts and hydrographic naming conventions worldwide. You'd also have to work with the United Nations Geographic Names Group in its specialized agencies. And typically what would need to happen here is that the U.S. would need to work with stakeholders such as Mexico, Cuba, maybe like some other countries in the Gulf, and essentially they'd all have to come to an agreement on the name change and then present it to the International Hydrographic Organization and the United Nations Group of Experts on Geographical Names to petition them to get approval to make the name change. So we kind of skipped ahead a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Yes.
That's very interesting, though. I mean, I never really questioned where is Mexico or Mexico coming from. You know what I mean? Like, it's just always been that way.
You think I'm just some big nerd over here, but you're learning stuff.
It's educational.
It is.
Learn something.
Are you ready for Slasher's Ear Review?
Of gear stuff here. So you want to talk about gear, hiking gear?
Yeah, we like some good gear.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this new piece of gear that can come up. So it's not too soon to start thinking about mosquitoes and black flies. There's this device that you can buy. They use it in Australia, and it's instead of itching when you get bug bites, you use this device and it heats up your skin to like 50 degrees. I guess, I don't know what the temperature is, but it heats your skin. There's two temperature readings. One's like hot and then very hot. And the idea is you're supposed to like rub this against where you're itching, and it'll kind of burn your skin a little bit, but not burn it like a real burn. It'll just get hot enough where it will soothe your itch. So I was reading the article, and this guy was like, it's fine for me, but my girlfriend thought it was too hot. So she had to use the lower part. But instead of itching, you can pay $50 for this device to burn your skin. So then you'll feel uncomfortable from the burn and not from the itch.
I think I'll stick with cortisone cream, perhaps.
Okay. I'm not selling this device.
I mean, how long is it good for? I guess.
I don't know.
Is it battery powered?
It's battery powered. Okay. It's called WellCare's Insect Bite Healer, and it's $50 US. And there's a power button that 3 seconds of heat at 47 degrees and 6 seconds of heat at 50 degrees. I think that this is like Celsius, not Fahrenheit, because it's an Australian article. So,
okay.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I mean, 37 Celsius is body temperature, so that's going to be even than 98 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to get this one for your loved one for Valentine's Day, it's a very romantic gift.
Very.
So,
not to downplay it. I just think I'll stick with cortisone.
Right. No, I think I'm just going to itch.
Yeah, I'll deal with it. It's fine.
Yeah. What is the worst experience do you guys, Paul? What's the worst experience you've had with mosquitoes or black flies in the whites?
Actually not in the whites. I haven't had it too bad in the whites, but the worst I've ever had it was down at Pisgah State Park, down in the southwestern part of New Hampshire. Man, I hit a patch there that the mosquitoes were I was swimming through them. Couldn't get through it fast enough. Miserable.
Yeah. I avoid, I don't hike as much in April and May. The people that do gridding in those seasons, I don't know how they do it. But what about you, Cindy? Any bad mosquito or black fly experiences?
I am a constant mosquito and black fly magnet, unfortunately. Really? The worst one I can think of is like 4 or 5 years ago, my friend and I did Owl's Head in the summer. And on the way back, it downpoured, but it was also a wicked hot day. And she turned around to look at me, and I was literally just a cloud of mosquitoes surrounding me. It was awful. Oh. I just get welts. Like, I get a very strong reaction when I get bitten by anything like that. So it's not a good time.
And the mosquito spray, nothing helps?
I've started using permethrin now. That seems to help me a bit. And I still douse myself with like whatever I can buy that's a mosquito repellent. So it does help. If I forget, then it's not fun. So
Yeah, I always say the worst experience I've ever had was Zeta Pass.
Oh, yeah.
And I like sitting there. Like, that's a good place to, like, sort of stop and have, when there's no mosquitoes, it's a good place to stop and have lunch. Because so Zeta Path, for people that aren't familiar, this is like you go up 19 Mile and then I think you break off 19 Mile. I forget what that trail is. Maybe it's like the Carter Trail or something like that. But you basically, Zeta Path, you can take a right and go up to Mount Height or Carter Zone, or you can take a left and go to South and Middle, and it's like a wooded area, and I think it's flat, so there's a lot of standing water there. And I remember sitting down for lunch and all of a sudden just getting absolutely, like, it was the thickest mosquitoes I've ever experienced in my life. I had to, like, run to get out of there. So
That's awful.
Yep.
It's like you just want to enjoy, and they come around and make it worse.
It's very selfish of them.
Yes.
It is. I'm
selfish.
I get tasty blood, apparently. So anyway.
Sweet blood, is that what they say?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yep. Anyway, but here's another story about hiking gear. So this gentleman, a Massachusetts resident, as a matter of fact, he decided to go visit his friend. He's a software engineer at Google and an avid hiker. So I'm going to throw his name out. So Augustus Taran. Augustus, if you're listening, like, hit me up. I want to know more details about this story. Augustus was visiting a friend in India, in New Delhi, and he's an avid hiker. He was going to a friend's wedding. He was there for a week, and he touched off on December 21st. He created a security scare because his Garmin InReach Mini 2 was found in his handbag during a search, and I guess his device is, the InReach is designed for hikers to track location and send out, but apparently it's illegal to have possession of such radio equipment without authorization or a license under the Telecommunications Act in India. So I think that this guy probably just got like hit up in the airport and was supposed to bribe somebody and didn't know any better or something. They end up getting arrested. But yeah, I don't know. The Telecommunications Act of 2023, apparently a Garmin InReach, if you go to India, is illegal. So he ended up like, I guess he ended up like getting released eventually. How long was he in jail for? I guess he was released he missed his flight. He was released on the 22nd. And then the court told the petitioner that was intercepted at the airport that he was carrying the device in his hands. His lawyer argued that he had inadvertently left a device in his handbag after a recent hiking trip in Colorado. He said he entered on the 14th of December and was leaving on the 21st. So I guess he also provided a purchase receipt from May of 2022, along with literature explaining how the device is used. He sets off an international incident with a Garmin InReach. So basically, he was told to come back in July of, I guess he's got to come back eventually to, I guess, go to court or some nonsense. So, but this is ridiculous. I would just never go to India again.
I bought mine to Iceland. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Sorry. I was going to say they should have sent him to Switzerland, hang out with a goat guy for a month.
That's true.
Oh,
that is
very true.
That is true. So, but don't bring your InReach to India, I guess. But yeah, I would think you would be able to bring it anyway. I guess maybe just check it.
Yeah, I mean, I brought mine to Iceland and had no issue.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I guess you just got to check, like you said.
Yeah. What? When did you go to Iceland? I vaguely remember this. I think I saw some pictures. When did you go to Iceland?
Almost 2 years ago now, actually. It was one of those trips I completely forgot to post about it. Like mostly forgot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe we talked about it. I can't remember. Yeah. Did you do any hiking, or was it mostly just touring around like the Golden Circle and all that?
Mostly touring. I went with my friend and her sister. We stayed in Reykjavik at an Airbnb, and we did like day tours from Reykjavik. So we did the western coast, like Snæfellsnes Peninsula, which was really neat.
Okay.
And then we did the Golden Circle, and then we did the south coast out to one of the glaciers.
Okay, like Skogafoss waterfall and all that fun stuff.
Oh, they were beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So next time you got to go, you do a little more hiking though.
Yes. So next time.
We'll get you out there. Yeah, it's definitely. I think anybody that goes to Iceland is always like, I'm going back. There's never any qualms about that. So. Yeah. All right, so this is the part of the show where I do a dad joke, and you guys get to see behind the scenes. The way that I organize the dad joke is I do a lot of research ahead of time.
Yes, much research.
And I just pick one. So what do sea monsters eat? Fish and ships.
Oh my gosh.
Fish and ships.
That's a good. Are they pirate ships or just ships?
I don't know, just regular ones. So why do melons have weddings? Why do melons have weddings?
I don't know.
Is they cantaloupe.
Oh my God! What? That's never happened before. Somebody got that. That was amazing.
That's a good one. Good job, Paul.
Yes.
I was shocked.
The look on your face was great.
Oh my God, it was amazing. So very good, Paul. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. He just offset the shame drop from earlier.
Yeah,
So good job, Paul.
love me a good dad joke.
Did you know that joke? Have you heard that before?
I've heard it once before.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. All right. Well, Stomp had Nosferatu. I haven't seen that movie, so I have nothing to say about it here. So next up, oh my God, I'm not prepared for this one, Cindy. You may need to help me here.
Oh, really?
This is the 48 Peaks advertisement.
Oh, really?
Do you have the copy ready?
I don't have it. That would be a Megan question. Oh, no.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'm going to we're going to do a drop in here.
Okay.
And we'll do the 48 Peaks drop here.
So I
just
feel
tell
so
Stomp.
bad I don't have it.
I wasn't prepared either because Stomp
Okay.
always does that. So anyway, all right. So here's a couple of plugs. If you want to get stickers, you can go and stop into Ski Fanatics, or you can go to Spinner's Pizza Parlor in Andover, Mass. to check it out. If you want to get your Slasher swag, you can check out our Bonfire shop and choose between super popular hoodies, a classic or V-neck t-shirt, and more. The color selection's great, and they are priced to move. Help spread the word about Slasher and represent today. Coffee donations, we have, if you want to show your support for the podcast, you can donate at Slasher's Buy Me a Coffee site. Donations help us pay for web hosting, distribution, live events, and all the fun gadgets that Stomp likes to buy to make our audio amazing here. So you can do like a monthly support if you want to tick a small box and do regular donations. You can also become a member of the Slasher Senate to receive a special plug on every episode. I don't even know what this is. Stomp's inventing things. I think that's like a special membership where we give you a special plug every episode. So.
Is this the first episode you've announced this?
I've never heard of this before. Stomp's inventing things.
Do Paul and I get to be honorary members because this is
yes.
new? Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Cindy
awesome.
Is it
Slasher Senate members?
Is it a 2-year term or is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can we get
a
voted
6-year
out?
term. If you're a senator, it's a 6-year term. But also shout out to G's Louise. G's Louise had bought 3 coffees from us, and she says that she listens to the podcast while she's sewing.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more entertaining than when you're sewing to listen to me and Stomp. So
She's really great.
Is she hula hooping while she's doing it?
yeah, she is. She's always hula hooping and everything. So.
Hey, hold my beer. It's time to find out what Mike and Stomp are drinking. On this week's Beer Talk.
Anyway, all right. So next up is beer talk. So this is the part of the show where we talk about what beer we are drinking. So I know Cindy is prepared for this. I didn't know, Paul, did you bring anything to the? Oh, you've got. What do you have?
My favorite brewery is Schilling up there in Littleton, New Hampshire. I am typically a Pilsner guy, but because I was coming on this show, I went mountain theme with their Kinsman, which is a India Pale Ale with Citra Cryo Cascade and Idaho 7 hops. Little citrusy hop.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
Right, well, all right. I'll go next, and we'll do ladies last here. So I'm on my night shift. I'm on my last beer for the Fluffy Hazy IPA. So I've got my little owl there with the night shift. So I think my wife got these at Trader Joe's in Danvers. So thank you, Mrs. Mike. And then Cindy, what do you have?
I've got my Down East cider, and it's in my 48 Peaks koozie. So got a rep.
Excellent.
Yes.
I've got a few of those around. So yeah, are you a cider person?
Yeah, I'm gluten free, so I can't do beer or ales or any of that. So I was very much a cider person before that, but more so now. So I can actually drink it. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. We'll drink those slow, folks, because like Cindy was like, I may have to step away for a minute. Like, no, you won't. You're co-hosting the show.
No!
So, all right. Now this is the part of the show where we do recent hikes. So I haven't been out. I wasn't out last weekend. I don't think. I can't remember. I wasn't out last weekend. I am getting out this weekend, later in the weekend. But Paul, have you been on any recent hikes?
The last one was with you.
It was isolation.
Yeah, isolation a couple of weeks ago now.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. Cindy, have you been out recently?
I was saying to Paul, I'm ready for the shame drop from you guys. I haven't been out since end of October, unfortunately.
I feel like we had the same conversation last time you were on the show.
We did, which was full conditions in November. Because
But you're getting out this weekend.
I'm hoping to, yeah. Hedgehog, like we were saying. But I was up north in November twice. Once for the Rescue Me 5K, and then the full conditions the next weekend. I just didn't have a chance to go hiking those 2 weekends.
Got it.
So.
Did you when you went in October? Where'd you go?
I hiked twice. So the end of the month, I did Mount Roberts with some friends. I actually haven't really hiked around the lakes region aside from the Belknaps.
Yeah.
It was nice. I liked it. And then
that's a good one.
Yeah, the one before that, two of our friends actually got married on Mount Moosilauke at the beginning of October.
Wow.
So it was a peak foliage weekend. So it was perfect. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Who did they have a friend to do the ceremony on the mountain?
Yeah, one of their friends got like a 1-day permit and did the ceremony at the top. It was like golden hour, bluebird day. Absolutely stunning. I love those photos I got that day. It was a great experience. So.
Well, now logistically, when you have a wedding like that, does the groom and the bride hike up together, or do they take separate routes and then meet on the summit?
So all of us went ahead of them, and then it was two brides actually who.
Two brides.
Yeah,
okay.
no, two brides, and they were at the end behind us. So we all went up to the summit, and then they hiked up to join us. It was really, really nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Did anybody do any music as they entered?
Yeah, someone had a little speaker. So they had a little
cool.
music, and then the same when they processed out to the summit sign, which is really
and
cool.
And then do you go to have a reception afterwards, or how does that all work?
I think they had a reception at an Airbnb they booked for the weekend.
Okay.
It was so late, I went back home. I went to where I was staying. So
wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool.
It was a great day. Yeah.
Yeah. The only time I've ever experienced an outdoor wedding like that was when this is years ago. I've been to Sedona twice. Mm-hmm. This was probably this was before we were this is when me and Mrs. Mike were dating. So this would have been the mid 90s. We hiked the Devil's Bridge in Sedona, and there was a wedding going on the bridge, and we hung out. Everybody just hung out, and everyone's like, yeah, clapping and stuff. So
that's awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Very good. And then how far along are you in your 4,000 footer list?
I knew you were going to ask me this.
Right, I always ask you this. Let's go. Let's get done.
I know. I'm still on 34. I have not made any progress since we last spoke. I'm very sorry.
Do you have a solid plan to start? What do you have left? Do you have some big ones left?
I do. So I have the easier ones, quote unquote. Cabot, the Carters. I have all the Northern Prezzies plus Monroe, the Bonds, and then Carrigain. And I believe that's all of them. It's 14. So. Have
you thought about how are you gonna attack Bonds? Are you thinking an overnight, or are you thinking you just gotta grind it out, or what are your thoughts?
I think an overnight would be fun. Maybe a Z Bonds Traverse. Go that way. Stay at Gio. And then go across, do Sunset, all that stuff. I think Bonds would be what I want to finish on, but I was talking with Lynn about it because she also is working to finish, and she, I think, wants to finish on Jam, and I haven't done Jam either. So we'll see kind of where things go. I want to knock off, Cabot, Carrigain, Actually, isolation, I haven't done that either. Like knock off those and maybe finish bonds or one of the prezzies. So.
All right. Well, yeah. So you got some. You got some long ones.
I do.
Though.
Yeah.
All right.
I won't let you down. I will get through them. I swear.
Well, if you need help and you need people to form alliances with, I know a couple of guys that would be happy to head out with you guys.
I would be happy to form an alliance with you guys. That sounds great.
And Caroline's got a bunch of those too. She's got to get all those too.
Okay.
That's sort of her same list. She's it's kind of funny. Like you get to that like mid-30s number, and then like those tend to be the ones that you have to get is like the Jefferson and the Bonds and all those. So
yeah, awesome.
Anyway. Cool. All right. So next up, we want to thank CS Instant Coffee. They are, if you are going to do an overnight, Cindy, they are the ones that you would want to take with you to have some nice coffee in the morning. So you can check them out at csinstant.coffee. That's csinstant.coffee. So fuel fast with instant coffee, perfect for running, biking, camping, gym, travel, and athletes. So check them out.
They're really great. They actually donated to our public lands event. We had some goodie bags. They donated some instant coffee for the bags.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They are fantastic. So, all right. So we're going to skip the notable hikers of the week. We'll wait for Stomp because he loves the notable hikers. And then we're moving into our big segment here. So this is Cindy and Paul are joining us from 48 Peaks, the Alzheimers Association. So this is Cindy's probably fourth time on the show and then Paul's first time. So welcome back, Cindy. And why don't you remind the listeners a little bit about yourself and then talk a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association and their mission.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me and us back. It's always great to chat with you guys. So my name's Cindy. I am currently the volunteer ambassador chair for our 48 Peaks committee, and it's my second year as chair, I believe 5th year volunteering, and I've been participating with 48 Peaks since 2018, actually, so 7-8 years now that I've been hiking and raising money for Alzheimer's Association. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's been a good time.
And we've talked about this before, but like your motivation around getting involved with the Alzheimer's Association, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have 2 family connections to dementia specifically. My maternal grandmother, or my gram as I call her, she lived with dementia in my middle and high school years, and she passed away in 2010 during my first semester of college. So she's my first inspiration for hiking for Alzheimer's. Like we talked about, I have been working on the 4,000 footers for some time. I like hiking. And one of my college friends, actually, her and her mom, they were hiking Franconia back in 2017 and came across a group of hikers dressed in purple and came to learn they were part of 48 Peaks. So I started in 2018 fundraising, actually started a team in 2019. And then in the years since, besides my gram, I now hike for my grand aunt, who is my gram's youngest sister and last surviving sibling. She is currently living with dementia and entered, I believe, a long-term assisted living facility in the fall. So I hike for the 2 of them. I hike for caregivers like my mom, who took care of my gram for many years before she passed, and just anyone in this community who is affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. So.
Okay, and then so you learned about it basically by seeing people out on the trail. Mm-hmm. Can you talk specifically about 48 Peaks, the longest day, and what it is and how people can participate?
Yeah, so 48 Peaks is part of the longest day, like you said. It's the signature fundraising event for the Alzheimer's Association. So as part of it, participants pick any activity or date that they want to raise funds and awareness for the Alzheimer's Association. So in the case of 48 Peaks, it's hiking. So we started in 2013 out of a volunteer from New Hampshire. He decided to hike for the longest day to raise awareness in honor of his wife, who was living with early onset Alzheimer's. He invited his friends, his family, and with time, the event became an official, or his hiking activity became an official event under the longest day umbrella for the Mass New Hampshire chapter. So we have been an official event since 2015, so this makes 10 years as an official event this year, which is pretty neat. So now that we are 10 years in, we have grown a lot, and we're at over 400 hikers. And last year we had 96 teams participate and cover the White Mountains in purple, which is really great. So go ahead, Mike. You're gonna say something?
No, I think it's amazing. When you reflect back, so you've been doing this for a long time now, and I think, we've known each other now for, I think, coming up on 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
The cool thing is like, I feel like just like watching it over time, the connections that have been made and the friendships that have been made through hiking together and 48 Peaks has been great. But like, can you talk a little bit about from your perspective? Like, I feel like probably for you, like some of your best friends you've made through this organization and then this the fundraiser, but also just throughout the year, the work that you do.
Yeah, no, I honestly, most of my hiking friends are out of this, like you said. When I first joined, it was my college friends. 2018, I didn't get to hike that year, but 2019, I had a team of like 10 people, all from high school, friends of friends, and then COVID hit. So 2020 was my first year volunteering, and honestly, at that point, we were just trying to keep the event alive and going. I think we maybe raised within like $30,000 to $40,000 that year, thankfully Team Sisu, who's one of our veteran teams, they are huge advocates and fundraisers for 48 Peaks and Alzheimer's Association. They and our veteran teams kept us alive as an event that year. And then 2021 was still just trying to keep going. And then I believe it was 2022 is when Hiking Buddies came into the picture. And that's when the lid really blew off this whole thing. And we raised, right. I think it was 250,000. I'm like, the years kind of blend together now because it's just incredible how much it's grown. Like to go from, like I mentioned in 2020, just trying to keep it going to now we're raising like $200,000 a year for Alzheimer's Association. Yeah. There's all these people. I see purple on the trail. Like when I used to hike, people had no idea what I was talking about. They would just see my shirt and say, "Oh, you're hiking the 48 Peaks." And I'd say, "Well, yeah, but there's a reason why, So it's really great. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about how people can sign up and participate. But like, I just want to stress that whole, like, this is a great opportunity if you're looking to, and I know the Hiking Buddies is great about this, like it gives people options to make connections. But if you want to, like, even if you're a hiker that you feel like you've got your crew of friends, if you've got a crew and you want to give back, like this is a great way to get connected with like-minded individuals. There's a fun party that they do for the hiker celebration that was amazing last year. I'm sure it's going to be amazing this year. And you can make some friends. And I think like me and Paul in particular, like we met through this last year and have become friends, and we've gone hiking a bunch of times now. So just my own example of this is just making all these connections. It's been amazing. So I just want to make sure I stress that. And Paul is joining us this time. So I think you guys basically, like every time you come on, like we bring a new person on that has an interesting story. And I think Paul's connection to Alzheimer's is really inspiring. And we got to hike together last year and we met, and you told me a little bit about your story. But Paul, why don't you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your hiking background, and then talk about your I guess your journey with the Alzheimer's Association and the longest day.
Trying to get too tangled here in my cord.
Yeah, get yourself organized and then start talking.
All good. I stole my son's gaming headset for this, so we're
nice.
There we go. My name is Paul Lamar. Where do we even start? I grew up in southern New Hampshire. Some people might call it northern Mass now. I grew up in a very large family. I have 9 brothers and sisters, and so I grew up basically outdoors. My parents wanted nothing to do with us being inside. So
right.
I spent a lot of time just in the woods of southern New Hampshire. We'd hightail it over to Pack Monadnock, Mount Monadnock. So a lot of the hiking in that area. I also did a lot of, I raced Nordic skiing in high school. So spent a lot of time in the mountains. Temple Mountain was our base mountain. Through high school for skiing and such. So it's, really hiking has been kind of something I've fallen in and out of love with, throughout the years. I got back into it in the late 90s, doing a lot of actually backpacking. which was great. I kind of would love to dabble back into that a little bit. Staying at the different tent sites in the Whites, Ethan Pond.
We get you back into it this summer.
Yeah.
Believe me, you're on the text list now.
Mitzvah's a great one. Great tent site and great base camp for the Southern Prezzies and such. So really, I'll kind of pivot a little bit to Alzheimer's and then kind of get back into hiking, if that's fair. My first introduction to Alzheimer's was my aunt, my godmother. She had younger onset when I was just getting out of college, and hers kind of evolved and such. And they lived out west. Actually, you mentioned Sedona. They didn't live too far from Sedona. My early experiences with my aunt and my uncle, who was her primary caregiver, was just a lot of classic Alzheimer's symptoms, repeating stories, forgetfulness, lost in thought, a bit of kind of anger and getting lost in thought, which is a very common symptom and such. As her Alzheimer's progressed, I ultimately... and as she was aging and kind of getting near kind of end of life, is really when I started to get engaged with the Alzheimer's Association and ran my first half marathon for the Alzheimer's Association, the Run to Remember in Boston, which is a great event. Did that in 2015 and then evolved from there to the Boston Marathon for the Alzheimer's Association in 2018. I've run a couple other half marathons, and most recently, this past October, did Chicago Marathon for the Alzheimer's Association. Now, when I'd lost my dad to the disease in March of last year. He had a number of different health issues that we he had a lot of cognitive things going on, but we kind of blamed it on some other things that he had. He had pulmonary fibrosis and AFib and just some complications from those and some things that we weren't really sure what was going on. He really had he had gotten into a car accident that we couldn't really attribute to anything. Similar to my aunt, just a lot of these classic symptoms that really just started. My dad was later in life was when it really presented for him. He was officially diagnosed in 22. But realistically, the symptoms were there all along. We just weren't reading the cards, correctly. It's a cruel disease. Certainly he's my hero, and to watch my hero, wither the way that he was, really not able to do the simple things in life. And, I never thought there'd be a day I'd be changing my dad's diaper or spoon feeding him or, whatever the case is. I mean, that's, they really regress to kind of almost infant or, toddler stage. And it's crushing for a family. The Alzheimer's Association themselves was a great resource for me. I had met a number of similar people in similar situations when I ran the Boston Marathon. They really, really helped me push towards the organization itself and the helpline, which is there 24/7. You're always, any time of day that you're calling, you're connecting to a live body. It's someone that can help you through anyone in a number of different situations. I think for me,
did you find yourself calling that line a lot?
Not a ton, but I got a lot of family members, so we might have been beating that door down, a fair amount. I would say what reached the crescendo for us is, he had a couple falls, and at that point, it was just no longer. We tried to keep him in the home as long as we could. My mother carried a great burden, and then my siblings, we would rotate in care to help mom out. And after a couple falls, we just, we knew it was time to move him into a facility. And, for me, that was when my outreach to that helpline started, because I didn't even know where to start with how to process it.
Right.
and I will go to my grave that it was one of the hardest days of my life, having to move my dad into a memory care facility. It's just, there's nothing that prepares you for it. And the folks at the Alzheimer's Association were certainly helpful to try and explain not just the emotional part of it, but so many of the financial considerations and such. It is a very expensive disease, and can be very, very difficult on the families to care for a patient, both from the emotional perspective and for a fiduciary's perspective as well.
Wow. And then, so your father passed in March of 2024?
Correct.
So I think I met you the first time on our hike, which would have been in June, but yeah. you really, I think you took your father's passing and like that, people react different ways, but my impression when I met you was, I was like, this guy has a fire lit under him because of this. And, it sounds like I don't know how, my parents are both here. And you never know how you're going to react. Some people, it takes longer to process, but I feel like for you, just looking at it from the outside, and I have gotten to know you a little bit over the last year or so, but to me, my impression was that you took sort of that. Obviously, it's a sadness and a tragedy, but you took it and it kind of lit a fire under you to do something, right? Is that how you felt? Like, I got to do something.
Yeah, 100%. When my dad was really in decline is when I signed up for the Chicago Marathon. And I signed up for that in the fall of 23. And again, my dad passed in March of 24. In April, I was sitting home just having a low moment, and on a Sunday afternoon, and I shut up and I said, I'm just going to go run up to Welch Dickey. And I happened to run into Eric Todd Sweet on the trail that day. It's like, holy cow, you're the guy from Facebook. And I'm chatting with Eric, and he was he was a blessing that day. To be honest, and I've thanked him multiple times since. We were chatting, and he was asking why I was there that day and what was going on. And I told him, that I just lost my dad. And Eric said, you should join my Alzheimer's hiking team. And I said, I've seen 48 Peaks, but I'm like, gosh, I'm already fundraising for the Chicago Marathon and don't really know. And he's like, oh, you got to do this. And I'm like, all right, let's let it roll. So he actually on the trail called Lynn Sweezy and asked if it would be okay for me to join the team. She said, of course. Lynn is great, as we all know. And
little did she know she was getting the super fundraiser.
Yes.
Kind of the rest was history. So it was crazy because it was only about 6 weeks before that hike.
Right.
Right. And we had an unfortunate, another tragic event in my family in between then, losing my brother unexpectedly, and between my dad's passing and my brother's passing, the money just came in. Which is phenomenal.
Yeah, and it was a great experience getting to meet you and join up with everybody on the hike, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I guess, Cindy, why don't you talk a little bit about the process of how to sign up, how best to participate, and a little bit about the specific day that a lot of people sort of target for the hiker celebration, but also the amount of flexibility that's involved in this. You don't have to do it on a designated day, and I think you can probably give the rundown on how to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of alluded to this, but the goal is to have at least one team on each of the 48 4,000 footers in New Hampshire. That's where 48 Peaks, the name, comes from. We have evolved over the last few years to try to include more people, people who might not be able to hike a 4,000 footer. So you are more than welcome to hike one of the 4,000 footers, but you can also create your own challenge. You could hike maybe a 52 at the View, like a Willard or a Monadnock. You could maybe do, we've had teams do a Pemi Loop, a Presidential Traverse. Maybe you could hike Greylock in Mass, whatever is within your abilities, it's available to you. Either of those options. In terms of how you can participate, you can sign up, create a team for people to join. You can join an existing team, or there is an option that you can sign up as an individual if you don't have a team to join. So that's there as well. You can, we're really looking for people to lead teams, though. I do want to highlight that. Our goal for this year is 100 teams. We had 96 last year, so we're pretty sure we can do it this year. We can get to 100 teams. So we invite anyone to come help us achieve this. You know, like I said, one team on each of the 4Ks, but we usually have more than one on each peak. There was, I think 2 years ago, we had a really bad weather weekend. We had like probably 5 teams hiking on like Pierce alone over the course of that summer. But like you said, it's not limited to just the longest day or weekend of the year. You can hike anytime over the summer. Our fundraising year ends August 31st. Like my team hiked middle of August 2 years ago. It's totally fine. Whatever works for you is fine with us. So, you know, you can follow along with what 4Ks are still unclaimed, quote unquote, on our Facebook group and also our Instagram. We keep it updated. But if you see your peaks taken, you can still hike it. It's not a big deal. Do what works for you. In terms of claiming your peak, once a team captain signs up, they will receive an email with a Google form for you to tell us what your hiking plans are, if you're going to do a 4K or create your own adventure, like I mentioned. And you don't have to have this plan when you register. You can submit it whenever, up until when you're actually going to hike. The most important thing is our hiker celebration, of course, because like you said, it's wicked fun every single year. So yes. This year, because you asked me this in November and I didn't have an answer for you. So now I have an answer for you. This year, we're going to be having our hiker celebration at Tuckerman Brewing in Conway, New Hampshire. And it will actually be on the longest day of the year, Saturday, Excellent. June 21st. So it is right in line with our mission, shining as much light as we can on Alzheimer's and dementias. I don't think it's ever been actually on the date. So this is like fantastic. I got like chills thinking about it earlier. It's great. So
perfect timing,
right? Like it's good. Yes. I'm just hoping for good weather. We've had not a great couple of years with the weather. So, but yeah, the hiker celebration is just a chance to come together. We like to recognize our hikers for all the hard work they do, both hiking and fundraising and raising awareness. We have raffles, we have music, we have great food, beer, company, all the good stuff. And it's just a great time. So you don't have to hike that weekend. We encourage you to come join us if you do hike. But just the one thing I want to also mention is you must be a registered 48 Peaks participant in order to join. So just make sure you're already registered and then you can show up and we'll be like, come on in. You know what I mean? It is for our hikers. So we hope we'll see a lot of people there. I know we're going to see you guys there.
Definitely. Yeah. I think I'm actually going to captain a team this year. I got some ideas that I'll share with you, but I'm going to try to recruit Mrs. Mike and some of her friends.
Oh, great.
To see if I can do that. So I'll give more details, and then I'll probably open up some spots to like Slasher listeners as well. So I'm excited, cool. But
maybe you could raffle those off or something.
Oh,
yeah, maybe I could do that.
Yeah,
we'll talk. We'll talk. You're the fundraising guru, so whatever you tell me to do, that's what I'm going to do for sure.
Yeah.
But so just the specific sign up, what can you talk about the website and then where people should go on the website to get that done?
Yes. So our website is alz.org//48 peaks. I always forget which slash that is technically.
Yes.
Forward. Thank you, Paul. So you can go to our website. We have a link there for creating your own team, or you can search a team if you want to join, say, the Slasher team or Paul's team or my team. And you can sign up there. If you are a team captain, I believe there is a $20 just kind of donation startup kind of thing to get your team going. But otherwise, your team members can join for quote unquote free, though we encourage people to donate because this is a hiking fundraiser. That is the point of this. But obviously, we want to have fun. So we encourage you to head over to the website to learn more. We also have the Facebook group, like I mentioned, and on Instagram, it is 48 Peaks ALZ. And if you message, it's probably me who's answering you. So Ask away. I'll answer you any questions. Yeah. Go, Paul. You said you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, like, if you don't, if you have an attachment to the disease and aren't, feeling like leading a team or such, definitely reach out as well. And we can certainly place you with a team.
Yeah. That actually happened a couple years ago. One of our volunteers, Alana, she's a young caregiver. Her mom Alana was on with me one time before.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, she was on before.
So her mom has early onset, and Alana had, I think, been doing the marathon before, but she wanted to do hiking and heard about 48 Peaks. Megan contacted me and asked, are you okay with someone joining your team? And I said yes. So she ended up hiking with my team up Pierce like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's totally fine. We have people who are more than happy to have new members on their teams.
Yeah, I feel like too when you do the hike with each other, like even if you don't know people, like you're friends for life after that.
Oh,
it's just it's a great bonding experience. And then Paul, speaking of the bonding experience, so when we did the hike up to Galehead, like there was a couple of memorable. First of all, Dave Shits in the Woods joined us, so that was memorable. But there was like a moment that I will never forget. Like when we were hiking down. I don't know why, but we all sort of just stopped together and we would just, I don't know what happened, but somehow Nobby Hikes just started sort of, because Nobby was like in the middle of dealing with, his I think both of his parents had recently just been moved in. And I don't think he'll care that we're talking about this. He's pretty open about it. But both of his parents had been moved into assisted living at that point and were dealing with dementia. And he was sort of telling his story, and it was so emotional. And it was a moment I don't think I'll ever forget. I don't know. You were there, right?
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I kept it in check for the course of that day until that moment.
Right.
When Nobby got going, I think Dave called it the eye sweat.
Yes. Yeah. And it was really like it was such a fun day, and it was an up and down day. There was rain, but like we made the best of it. We brought umbrellas, and then Dave had to go Dave had to step off trail, and we were like, Dave is really shitting in the woods. This is so exciting. And we had such a good time. And then we took a group photo, and a gray jay came flying by the group photo right at the perfect moment. It was just an amazing day. Yeah. And then that was the day too that you guys all snuck rocks in my backpack when I wasn't paying attention, and I caught you. And then we also ran into Mike Masel and the Red Line Guide crew and we got some great photos. So it was just an amazing day. But like the moment where Nobby sort of was explaining what he's dealing with in real time, and so many of I haven't directly had to experience a family member with Alzheimer's, but like just to sort of have it brought home what Nobby was living at that moment was just so emotional. But it was a cool experience overall. It was such a great day.
Yeah, it was special. We actually ran into Cindy's boyfriend that day, which I only
did.
just recently
Ryan.
found out about.
Yeah, you ran into Ryan at the Galehead Hut.
Was he your boyfriend at the time?
Newly, yes.
Newly.
Wasn't talking about it too much. It was like
how did you guys meet through hiking?
Instagram, actually.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So did you like who
Paul
slid into
outed me.
whose DM? who slid into whose DM?
I forget what. It was like responding to stories initially. But it was like a friend of a friend was like, oh, I think you guys would get along as like friends. And then it was like Lord of the Rings initially, hiking, that kind of thing. And then here we are.
So he was in the crew with Mike and those guys?
Yeah. Yeah, he met you guys
that day. So he's
a
real legit hiker then, right?
Yeah, he's the crazy one that you met.
That day.
Yeah.
Really?
He does.
Right,
he hikes with Gwen. He's the guy that hikes with Gwen.
Oh, yeah. I got to do some research. Yes. All right. I didn't know this. You're like hiking royalty now.
I didn't know it until Cindy had mentioned earlier. We had the winter hiking safety event at Public Lands last weekend. And so Cindy and I were doing some flowering for the event, and Ryan came. Mm-hmm. And that's when he filled me in. I had no idea.
Thank you for tipping me off.
I got outed.
Everybody wants to know about Cindy's love life, so this is excellent.
Hey, Valentine's Day's tomorrow, so I guess.
It is.
What timing?
Wow. All right, well, Paul. So then now we got to put you on the spot. So now you've had the honor, the pleasure of hiking with Mike like multiple times now. Can you talk a little bit about like what is the experience like? Is it like, and you better not bring up my fly being down because I will go nuts. But otherwise, how was the experience? Is it everything you thought it was going to be? Am I a pain in the ass on the trail? The listeners want to know.
And more. Yeah, no, I just want to echo one thing, like the 48 Peaks Day was truly a special day. I was a little worried I was in over my head when I saw who was on the team. I'm like, this is kind of a who's who. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? But yeah, the friendships that have come out of it. I've hiked with you, a few times now, and Eric a couple times, and Nick, a few times as well. It's been phenomenal. Really, I feel blessed to have been part of that day. I know Cindy hiked the next day. You hiked Gaylord as well.
We did do Gaylord as well.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. Hiking with you it's been a riot. The day on the Crescent Randolph Loop was phenomenal. I almost died twice that day. Once falling off the summit of North Randolph, and then getting attacked by ladybugs.
Yes.
Really? That's
true. I forgot about that. So we were talking about mosquitoes, but yeah, Paul has some weird thing about his it must be his odor or his like blood or something. Like ladybugs attacked him.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's supposed to be good luck.
Yeah. Not that many. I felt a little violated, Cindy.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But that day was funny. That day was
and Cindy. So we were hiking. We did Crescent and Randolph, and my fly fell down on my pants. And Paul, nobody told me. I must have hiked like a mile and a half with my zipper down, and they were all making fun of me behind my back, and I had no idea.
Oh, gosh.
So we were actually doing it.
I almost never hiked with them again.
We did it in front of your face, actually, because we were doing like all these little like subliminal messages and such. You weren't picking up on.
I was just yapping away like. So anyway,
that's what good friends are supposed to do. They make fun of you and then they help you after, right?
That's right. Yeah. That is.
We tried to get poor Liz Faye to jump on the grenade, and she's like, "It's not going to be me." Not gonna be me.
Yeah, she's not tipping me off. So
it was a fun day, and you did we did isolation a couple weeks ago, and it was a cold ass day, but it was a super fun day. I think you took the biggest spill that day.
I think so.
So I broke a pole, but
right.
I think you were down in that hole a little longer than I was.
Yeah, that was not fun. We were breaking trail through Engine Hill, and I don't know, Nick was leading the way, or maybe I was leading the way, and I just, I fell, and it was so deep, sometimes you can't get out of those holes, so Ryan will tell you. He's out there with Gwen doing crazy stuff.
He knows exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, no, it's been great, and like I said, like for 48 Peaks, if you want to get involved, definitely check out the website. We'll put everything up on the show notes. It's a great chance for you to get involved in hiking. If you're not sure about it, like sign up for a team. And the other thing too is it's not just the 4,000 footers that you can do smaller mountains. Like my plan, I'm trying to sort of get a group together that's probably not going to want to do a 4,000 footer, but like Hedgehog or like Sugar Bush or something like that, or Sugarloaf, they could do that. So there's nothing restricting you from doing shorter mountains too, right?
Yeah, no restrictions at all. It's whatever is best suited for you and your team if you're on a team. And I mean, if you're not a hiker, we have options for you too. Paul and I, as we said, we're both volunteers. We have the volunteer committee. You're welcome to help come and plan this event with us. We're always looking for more volunteers. And I mean, if you know maybe a company or a group that might want to even sponsor the event, we do have different sponsor levels that, if you want to reach out to our event manager, Megan, she's happy to share those with you. There's different benefits like having your name or logo on the yearly t-shirt that we all wear out on the peaks. There's summit banners that we bring to the summits with your company name on it. We post on social media. There's more. So we have that as an option. And it's just getting out there, like you said, making friends, making connections, and just having a good time while raising awareness and fundraising for a good cause. So.
Right. So our goal this year, so we're going to put all this in the show notes. We're going to do all the details, do the FAQs. We're going to link about the hiker celebration. We'll link on the Facebook, the Instagram, and then we're also going to give you Megan's phone number. Call her. Just call her to say hi.
Yeah, just call, say hi.
She'll anytime. At 3 a.m. on a Tuesday night, give her a call. No.
Maybe not that.
Maybe not that. Don't go crazy. Yeah. But anyway, we'll give you everything. But we're going to get 100 teams this year, and then we're going to raise $300,000 or $400,000.
Oh wow!
Whatever.
I think it's we want at least $225,000 but if we do 300 or more, that's totally fine by us. Like that.
We're going to crush it. We're going to crush it. Paul's going to come through.
Yes. Paul's gonna come through.
No pressure, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna see. I got some ideas cooking.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll talk. I like that raffle idea. That's a good one. So.
Actually, maybe one more resource I can plug. Paul mentioned it, but the 24/7 helpline is really great. There's providers on there. There's many different languages spoken. You can get help any time of day, and the number is 800-272-3900. Like Paul said, they're very helpful. One of our other volunteers, Tony, used it extensively when her father was living with Alzheimer's. So they're really great. If you don't know what to do, just call. Someone's willing to listen and help you. So.
Very good. So, all right. So we've learned everything we need to learn about the Alzheimer's Association, 48 Peaks, the longest day. We learned about like some guy that lived with goats. We've learned about whether or not like Cindy and her boyfriend have Life 360 and are tracking each other or not. So we've learned a lot today. So you guys did excellent. Cindy, this is the first time you've co-hosted a podcast. So now you have a new fun fact when you have to start a new job and share with somebody.
Add it to the resume. The resume builder.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but I want to thank both of you. And when I'm already sick of Stomp, so maybe I'll call you back next week.
Sounds like a plan. Just let me know.
Paul wants to say something before we leave.
Can I plug one other thing? We will be exhibiting at the Boston Outdoor Expo Boston Run Show the weekend of March 1st and 2nd. Cindy, I think I'm actually going to be working with you on the Saturday.
Yes. Great.
So if you have any questions or if you're planning to be on that event, I think there's plenty of different ways to get free tickets to that exhibition. It's quite a good take, even if it's not to come and see us. But if you have any questions and want to talk to someone in real life, head down to the show and we'll be happy to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good reminder. Matter of fact, I may actually go, so I'll let you know if I end up going. But I'll put in the show notes a link to get free tickets to the expo.
Yeah. It was a fun time last year, so it should be again. Mm-hmm.
I have the code.
Oh, you do?
Free tickets. Ooh. Yes. I don't know what it is, but it's somewhere in my Google Drive, so I will add it tonight to the show notes. So, but that's a good reminder. Any other plugs? Anything else you need to say before we say goodnight?
Just thank you as always for your support. I mean, when I look back at how far 48 Peaks has come, a lot of it has been since we connected with you and Stomp and just the podcast in general. So I really want to thank you and the listeners for all of your support over the years. So actually the Insta just crossed 1,200 followers, which I was like, yay,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. We've grown up with you guys. So it's been a great partnership. So we appreciate it. And we will appreciate even more painting the mountains purple in June. And we will continue to push the listeners to join teams and start teams. So we'll look forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be great. So just quick recap, June 21st is the hiker celebration. You can find out more about the event at alz.org/48 peaks and reach out anytime with questions. We'd love to see you out on the trails.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about the topics covered in today's show, please check out the show notes and safety information at SLASRPodcast.com. That's SLASRPodcast.com. You can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week for another great show. Until then, on behalf of Mike and Stomp, get out there and crush some mega peaks.
Now covered in scratches, blisters, and bug bites, Chris Staff wanted to complete his most challenging day hike ever.
Fish and Game officers say the hiker from Florida activated an emergency beacon yesterday morning. He was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when the weather started to get worse. Officials say the snow was piled up to 3 feet in some spots, and there was a wind chill of -1 degree.
And there's 3 words that describe this race. Do we all know what they are?
Here's Lieutenant James Neeland, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're heading out on the trails to hike here in New Hampshire?
It seems to me the most common is being unprepared, and I think if they just simply visited hikesafe.com and got a list of the 10 essential items and had those in their packs, they probably would have no need to ever call us at all.